This episode of the Football Crazy podcast is brought to you by the letter A, the only letter that looks like a triangle with legs.
Is football crazy? Is football mad? That football had just taken away the little bit of sense he had. And it would take a dozen servants to wash his clothes and scrub, since Paul became a member of that terrible football club.
Hello folks, and welcome to the 40th episode of the Football Crazy podcast. I am as always your host Jeffrey Gibson, this time coming from my home as I am isolating with a cold, and we have a great episode for you today. Larry, the American Premier League expert, will be here for another Premier League Roundup, and I am going to be previewing the EFL trophy match between Lincoln City and Sunderland. But before all that, I really have to discuss Saturday's League One game between Portsmouth and Sunderland, because it really pissed me off. The fact that we went from battering Cheltenham Town to being battered ourselves in the space of a few very short days is fucking disgusting. Lee Johnson and the team lacked direction, and they lacked ideas of ways to cope with the Portsmouth players, and it's these inconsistent performances that will cost us promotion this season, and unless Lee Johnson and his team get their fucking acts together and fast, we don't stand a chance in hell in getting promoted. But I will say this, Lee Johnson and the Sunderland team weren't fully to blame for Saturday's result. The referee who was in charge of that match should have called the game off, because there was literally water flying off the pitch every time the players were running. So how the fucking hell is anyone supposed to play football in those conditions? And I'm surprised none of the Sunderland players got injured on Saturday, because those conditions are really fucking dangerous. That's my rant over, and now here is Larry, the American Premier League expert, with another Premier League roundup. Over to you, Larry.
Thank you, Jeff. And here is this week's Premier League roundup. Manchester United 1, Everton 1, Burnley 0, Norwich City 0, Chelsea 3, Southampton 1, Leeds United 1, Watford 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Newcastle United 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Arsenal 0, Crystal Palace 2, Leicester City 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 1, Brentford 2, Liverpool 2, Manchester City 2. And now here is the updated Premier League table. Chelsea are top on 16 points. Liverpool are second with 15 points. Third are Manchester City with 14 points. And in fourth and in the final Champions League place are Manchester United with 14. In fifth place are Everton with 14 points. In sixth are Brighton and Hove Albion with 14 points. And in seventh and in the final European place are Brentford with 12 points. Now let's look at the bottom of the Premier League. Bottom of the league are Norwich City, who have 1 point. In 19th are Newcastle United with 3 points. And in the third and final relegation place are Burnley, who also have 3 points. Now before I go, news broke on Sunday that Watford have sacked their manager Xisco Munoz, and some of the favourites to take over the job include Claudio Ranieri, Eddie Howe, Frank Lampard, Chris Wilder, Gianfranco Zola, Sam Allardyce and Chris Hughton. So Watford fans, please let us know in the comments below what you think of the Watford sacking, and who you think will take over, and how long they will last in the job. That's it for another Premier League roundup. I will be back soon. Until then, it's back to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Larry. See you next time. Now it's time for the preview of the EFL trophy game between Lincoln City and Sunderland, and both of these teams are going into this game on the back of mixed results. Lincoln City drew 2-2 against Plymouth Argyle on Saturday, and Sunderland got hammered 4-0 by Portsmouth, and I think both of these teams will see this game as a distraction from the league, and I think this game has come at a good time, as I think whoever wins it will have a massive confidence boost going into the next league game. This is Sunderland's first game in the EFL trophy this season, and I think if we can get Saturday's defeat out of our system, we can beat Lincoln. But with that being said, Lincoln is going to be a tough team to play against, so we have to be careful, otherwise we could end up getting beaten heavily again, and as a Sunderland fan I want to avoid that. When it comes to predicting the final result of this game, I think if Ross Stewart can get back into his scoring ways, we can beat Lincoln 2-0 in this game. That's it for another episode of the Football Crazy podcast. I do hope you have enjoyed listening to what I have had to say. I will be back on Saturday at 12:30 am, with a preview of the World Cup qualifier between Andorra and England. So until then, thank you ever so much for taking the time to listen. Stay safe and enjoy the match.
Is football football crazy, he's football mad. That football had just taken away the little bit of sense he had, and it would take a dozen servants to wash his clothes and scrub, since Paul became a member of that terrible